Good afternoon and welcome to the Post-High School Planning Town Hall. This is a partnership between the Washington Student Achievement Council and the Rural Alliance. My name is Christina Winstead and I'm the Assistant Director for Outreach at the Washington Student Achievement Council working with the 12th year campaign. We're really excited to partner with the Rural Alliance. The Rural Alliance represents 79 districts and over 46,000 students, as well as it's joined by 14 colleges and universities and nonprofits. And they work to help students from early birth all the way through adulthood. They're a wonderful organization and we're really excited to work with them. I work at the Washington Student Achievement Council and we work to advance educational opportunities and attainment in Washington State. And we do this through policy as well as through programs like the 12th year campaign. So before we start, I just want to make sure everyone knows that you can do this. There's still time to make a plan for life after high school. Don't let COVID-19 derail this. There's a lot of challenges, but we're here to provide help, solutions, and resources. So if you're worried that your plans may not be the same as they were before, that's okay. We can help you take those plans and take the next step towards your post-secondary education. So one of the first tools I wanted to talk to students about, for you guys, exploring your options, we have a couple new resources, and this is a great way for you to see what's out there. If you haven't started this process and you're getting ready to graduate high school, the Career Compass is a wonderful way to explore what's important to you and different pathways. It helps you choose a college as well as academic programs, and you can choose by regions as well as through the state. You just have to go to https compass.wa.gov. So compass.wa.gov will get you there. You sign in, you can create a backpack where you can put all your resources in there. And the great thing is that that's specific just to you. So the college exploration process, a lot of it is making sure that you know what the best is for you as an individual. So there's all these options out there, all these pathways, all these colleges, and you may have friends going to a specific school, or your parents may have attended a specific school. But the wonderful thing is this resource will help you determine what's best fit for you as an individual. So if you haven't started yet, this is a great way to prepare and find that path for yourself. Another resource we're going to reference quite a bit today is the action plan. This is developed specifically for the class of 2020 to help you navigate your senior year and life after high school, especially with COVID-19. So we have a lot of resources we're going to talk about today, but this is a great resource. It has information on exploring careers, your colleges, state financial aid programs, how to apply for aid, how to look for scholarships, as well as how to transition out of high school and what you should do if you have dual credit. This is a great way also to explore if you are not going to college but you want to do an apprenticeship. It's a great way to explore apprenticeships as well. And if you're looking for information on new college resources, especially with COVID-19 and new policies, they're all going to be listed in this one resource for you. I encourage you to bookmark this website because there's going to be a lot of resources for the class of 2020. Again, it's not too late to apply to schools. This is a real important thing. And if your path has changed, that's okay. It is not the end of the world if your path has changed. We want to make sure that you have the support that you need to be able to take that path and make it your reality. So there's still a lot of options for applying for admissions for colleges. I actually had a student I talked to earlier this week who thought that all the schools were closed, and that's not the case. The community and technical colleges are still accepting applications, as well as some of the four-year colleges and universities. So there have been some changes to the admissions deadlines due to COVID-19, as well as some changes to test policies. So the action plan is going to list the different policies that have changed. And there's also ways to review your financial aid if your situation has changed. And we're going to talk more about that today. And there's been some extended deadlines for deposits as well as some waivers for deposits. So if you have not taken the first steps, or maybe you have decided to go to a different school, or you're looking at different options for schools, it's not too late. There's a lot of options out there. The most important thing that you do is that you create your plan and you apply for college as well as for financial aid. So those are the two main processes that we want to make sure that you're ready to do and that you have all the information you need in order to start that process. We're really fortunate in Washington State. We have so many schools for you to choose from. And so if you're staying in state, there's a lot of options with the community and technical colleges. As someone who graduated from a community college and worked for one for 15 years, they're a wonderful opportunity that you can transition from a community college into a university, take your associates, and start working towards your bachelor's. As well as there's a plethora of technical programs. So if you are looking at those options, I encourage you to explore those colleges. One way to do that is to take a virtual college tour. So there's a resource right on our Gear Up page at gearup.wa.gov that will help you see which schools are doing virtual tours, virtual online sessions, as well as are willing to walk you through their campus through a phone interview. So I'm going to talk a little bit about financial aid, because this is the topic that can be a little scary for students, because you have to apply for aid and paying for school. The good news is you have a lot of people who are happy to walk you through this process. I love financial aid, because financial aid is what gave me the opportunity to do something I love every single day and get paid for it. Financial aid is how I was able to go to college. And if someone hadn't told me about financial aid, I would have never gone. So I want to make sure students understand that you guys understand that there is a lot of options out there with financial aid. We look at financial aid like many things in Washington with an umbrella. I know we don't all use the umbrellas out here, but when it comes to financial aid, I encourage you to look at it this way. So there's four main types of financial aid that is out there. There's grants, scholarships, loans, and work study. So grants, those are funds that you typically don't have to pay back as long as you meet what's called satisfactory academic progress. It means that as long as you complete your classes at a certain level and complete a certain number of classes that you've attempted, that you won't have to pay those funds back. Scholarships, those are funds that you apply for from private, public, or nonprofit sources. So there's a lot of scholarships out there. We'll talk about them soon, but man, there's so many scholarships, and some of them even go unawarded, which means we have to return the money back to the donor. So I encourage you, scholarships are a great way to pay for school. Loans, these are income-based. There can be federal, and you can also apply for private loans. The big thing about loans is that you have to pay those funds back. And then work study. I know students, the two words work and study together sound like a real bummer, but work study is a great opportunity to be able to earn some money while you're in school, explore different career pathways. And these jobs have been, in my lifetime, they have been some of the funnest jobs I've ever had. They've allowed me to explore different career pathways. And in fact, being able to do some work study and financial aid is what led me to this pathway. But I've had students I have worked with who have done work study, working with the Student Activities Board, putting together events for other students. There's a lot of opportunities. Some students will work in the library. There's a lot of opportunities for you to explore career pathways, but also earn some money while on campus. And at the same time, you're building your resume. Work study is awarded at a federal and state level. And these are income-based funds as well. So we encourage you to apply for scholarships, and there's one that's open right now, the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship. It is open for their CTE section. So for career and technical scholarships, they have one open right now, and it doesn't close until June 4th. So you have plenty of time right now to sit down and work on that application. And this covers programs like apprenticeship, certificates, and associate degrees. So there's a lot of opportunities with the Washington Opportunity Scholarship. I absolutely adore them for the work that they do in our community. And I encourage you, you don't know if you'll get a scholarship until you apply. I know it can be hard to apply for a lot of scholarships. I know because I've applied for a lot of them myself, and you won't get every single one, but some of the ones that you can get can be life-changing. I've also seen the other side of scholarships when it comes to being able to rank scholarships and then award those scholarships. And so, like I said before, there are scholarships that go unawarded. So I have seen scholarships, including one that was 4 questions. It was, what is your name? Do you like soccer? That right there tells me I don't even have to like soccer to get the scholarship. What did you learn playing soccer, and how will you bring that to college? I asked the scholarship committee, if I walked up to you right now and said, hi, my name's Christina Winstead. Sports ball, I guess so. I think I'd learn teamwork, and I'd bring that to college. Money, please. Literally, they said we would have approved it because no one else applied. And in fact, no one actually did apply for that scholarship, and they had to return the money back to the donors. There are a lot of options for scholarships out there. There are scholarships for so many different things. There are scholarships for people who are left-handed. There's a duct tape scholarship where you make a prom dress out of duct tape and a tux. There is a scholarship that's literally called the Zombie Survival Scholarship, where you write a small essay about how you would survive the zombie apocalypse. You have to apply for these scholarships in order to be considered for them. And it's a great way to help fund your schooling. And it also is an opportunity for you to be able to work on writing skills. I encourage you, if you're scared to apply for a scholarship, reach out. Your counselors can help you identify some scholarships. And you can also make an appointment with me if you're struggling with that process. But there's some really cool ones out there for you to apply for. For me, a scholarship made the difference between not going to school as well. Like I had a scholarship I applied for that paid for my tuition for 2 years. It was an amazing resource for me and an opportunity that allowed me to grow as a person and as an academic student. So where does all this money come from for financial aid? So there's four places where these funds come from: federal, state, colleges, and organizations. Federal funding, it can be used at most schools in most states. So when you apply for the FOSFA, you're applying for federal funding as well as state funding. And state funding is for residents who are attending colleges in that state. So for Washington State, we have over 60 colleges that you can use those funds at. The colleges themselves might also offer some school-specific funds to attend that school. So you might see, especially with some private colleges, you'll see the tuition rate and think, oh, I don't know if I can afford this. But when you apply, sometimes they will have other funds that they can help provide to offset those costs. Again, you want to apply for any waivers and scholarships when you do that. That's the reason why it's so important when you're applying to colleges to apply to several different colleges to make sure you find the best fit academically and financially. And then organizations can provide those scholarships, businesses, nonprofits, churches, banks. There's so many different places out there that are providing scholarships. Look at your community and see if they're offering any. I've even heard of students who have gone to businesses and said, hey, the business down the road, they're offering a scholarship and you're not. You should probably offer a small scholarship. And they've actually gotten businesses to provide scholarships that way. The first place to start when looking for those scholarships is your school's foundation. So the colleges have funds they typically have through their foundation for scholarships, and typically it's one application you do that applies you to multiple scholarships. Because of COVID-19, a lot of schools have extended their deadlines for scholarships, and it's important to apply for them as soon as possible. So these are the four areas that those funds come from. In Washington, we're really fortunate because we have the Washington College Grant. The Washington College Grant is new for this year's seniors. So it was a 2-year phase-in last year. It was partially phased in, but class of 2020, this is the first class that gets to access these funds. So we're really excited because this is truly groundbreaking for our state. This has expanded more opportunities for more students. So there are more programs available, including 18-month apprenticeships that are approved, as well as the level of income that a family can make in order to receive gift aid, money that you don't have to pay back. And so that has been a great opportunity. I'm so excited about this, students, but in order to get these funds, you have to apply for them. We unfortunately, I always say, financial aid officers are not psychic. They don't know that you need money for school, so you have to apply first. So kind of to see how that's changed for financial aid, eligible student from a family of 4 making around 50,000 or less, you would get a full tuition award. And partial grants are now available for families making up to the median income for a state, so a family of 4 around 97,000 per year. That's the huge change there. So you may have a family that maybe you have a sibling that applied for financial aid earlier and your family did not receive financial aid in the form of gift aid. I encourage you, if you're going to school this upcoming year, it has changed significantly and that you're going to want to apply for financial aid, even if in a previous year you did not receive gift aid, because there may be changes because of the Washington College Grant that will now make you eligible for aid. You have to apply to get it. This is amazing. And I'm so excited about our state's commitment to post-secondary education through the Washington College Grant. So how do you apply for financial aid? It's very simple. You're going to do either the FOSFA or the WSAC. Only one application, you guys. If you do 2 applications, all you're going to do is give me some gray hairs from me trying to figure out which application you want to do. Plus, you don't really want to do 2 applications. That's boring. One application, and it's going to be for the funding program that you qualify for. So for the FOSFA, this is for students who have a social security number or from freely associated states like Marshall Islands. And then the WSAC, this application is our state application for financial aid, and it's accessible by students who are eligible non-citizens as well as undocumented students. If you're unsure which application to do, no problem. Just go to readysetgrad.org/WSAC. There's an assessment in there that's going to ask you some questions. And then the great part about it is it's going to tell you which application to do. The important thing to remember is that you need to fill out your financial aid application every single year that you go to college. So if you're a class of 2020 and you're going to college next year, you're going to be filling out the 2020-2021 FOSFA or WSAC. Now, October 1st is when it opens up for the next cycle. So October 1st, you're going to be filling out the 2021-2022 application for financial aid. So you're going to be doing this again in October. It's really easy to do a renewal. That's what you'll be doing in October after you fill out your initial application. It imports a lot of the information from the first application into the second one, and it's pretty easy to do. Plus, there's events all around our state. There were over 100 events last year through the 12th Year Campaign Partnership from schools, community colleges, libraries who are helping support students fill out financial aid applications. So when you fill out your financial aid application, there are some common errors I just want you to be aware of. The first one is making sure that you use legal information. So if you are using a social security number and your name off the social security number card, you have to use it as it lists on the card. You can't use nicknames in this process. It has to be the formal information that you provide. This is a legal document that you're filling out, and you want to make sure you're using the correct information. If you don't, it can kind of hold up your application as we try to figure out which application is attaching to which financial aid and admissions application. The other thing I see happen is completing the wrong financial aid year. So if you're a senior and you're going to college next year, you'll do the 2021 application, but you may have accidentally done the 1920 application. When you sign in to do your financial aid, there's 2 years available. One application is for students who are going to college right now, this quarter, this semester. There's also an application open up for students who are going to be going next year. It can be very confusing at times, so you want to make sure that you're filling out the application for the year that you're going to college, not the year that you're going to be in high school. Please make sure that you use the correct tax information. If you're filling out the 2020-2021 FOSFA or WSAC, you're going to use 2018 tax information. So you want to make sure you're using the correct year and documents. Please make sure to complete the application, especially if you're providing signatures in a signature page versus online. You want to make sure that you click submit your application so that it's finalized. Once you're done submitting your application, you'll get verification via email. If you have submitted your application and you didn't receive any verification from email, you want to log back into your application to make sure you completed the correct year. Also, check your junk mailbox. And then finally, your parents' information. So students who are under the age of 24 might be, a lot of them are considered, you guys are going to be considered usually dependent students unless you have a special circumstance. And so when you do your financial aid application, there is a dependency determination that they ask you some questions and then determine if your parents' information is needed. If your parents' information is needed, you want to make sure that you work with your parents to provide that information. If you cannot provide your parents' information because of a special circumstance and they list them in the application, then you want to connect with your financial aid office. If your parent doesn't have a social security number, no problem, that's okay. You're just going to use zeros in the application instead of a social security number. This application is for you and not your parents, and so it doesn't matter your parent's status in applying for financial aid. What they're looking at is your status in order to apply for financial aid. And then another thing that might happen for some of you who've already applied for financial aid, you may be selected for verification. And that's just a process that colleges will use to confirm information that's on your application. They just want to make sure that it's correct. If you are selected for verification, it's okay. It's not because you messed up on something. Typically, it's because 1/3 of students are selected no matter what for verification. It's a random pool. I've been selected for verification while working in financial aid. So it's really important in this process to realize it's not your fault, but you do need to follow the information they provide you and the steps they provide you to make sure that your verification is complete. So some people are selected at random, and sometimes students are selected because they will see an error. Like I had a student that they listed their parents' income as their own, and so that duplicated the income for the household, which pushed them out of the eligibility for gift aid. The financial aid office saw that and thought, I don't know if this 17-year-old earned $64,000 last year. Let's go ahead and do a verification and make sure they were able to correct that error with the student and able to provide them different types of aid because of the adjustment. And some schools just verify every single financial aid form. So you want to make sure the most important thing about verification is if a school has asked for you to do verification, you follow up on it as quickly as possible. They're going to give you a deadline. If you are struggling with the process, if you can't get the documents that they're asking for, you're going to reach out to the financial aid office and ask for help. If you can't get the documents for a tax transcript, things like that, please reach out as soon as possible to your financial aid office. You have to complete the verification process in order to receive your aid. So if you are struggling, don't ignore it and think it'll go away. Please reach out. Once your application is complete for financial aid, now you're going to be receiving an award letter. Now we say a letter and people think, oh, it must come in the mail, but award letters can come in multitudes of ways. Students can sometimes just get a postcard that says, your financial aid award letter is now in your portal. Log into your portal for more information. You might get a letter, you might get an email, but you want to make sure no matter what that you are looking at your award letter and determining which aid package you're going to take. So each school will send you award letters. They may be different. Like I know students, sometimes you guys will compare your award letters to your friends. This is specific to you as an individual. It's going to look at how much it costs for you to go to school, how much your family can potentially afford for you paying for school. It looks at a bunch of different things and there's a calculation. But your award letters will be different from your friends' award letters, and each school's award letter will be different. When you're accepting your award, we encourage you to accept them in this order. Gift aid first, because this is money you don't have to pay back as long as you meet satisfactory academic progress. So those are grants, scholarships, and tuition waivers. Those are the first things you want to take. Those are awesome. If you see those on your award, that's wonderful. Give yourself a high five, because it means you're typically not going to have to pay back those funds. If you're selected for work study, that's another one we encourage you to take, especially if you are selected for work study and you know you're going to work already. These are jobs where they know you're a student first and foremost. So when I had a work study job, it was the first time where I had a job that told me, hey, you know what? Finals are next week. Do you want to take this week off to study for your finals and then during spring break work extra hours? Oh my goodness, I was so excited because I had in the past experienced more of, hey, you know what? I actually was called in during a chem final and told like we need you to pick up a shift, and when I didn't take it I got in trouble at work. So it was the first time where I was fully supported as a student. Another thing to be mindful of with work study is if you're interested in work study, when you're applying for financial aid on your application, that's how you're going to be considered for it. So when you fill out your FOSFA or WAFSA, it's going to ask, do you want to be considered for work study? And it's going to give you 3 options: yes, no, or I don't know. It's okay if you don't know if you want to do work study. I encourage you to select yes, and this is why. Some institutions will only consider students who select yes for work study. If they select I don't know, they may not consider them for that set of funding. If you select yes and you decide, you know what, I don't want to work this quarter, you can actually decline your work study award. So, and you can decline it for maybe if you decide I want to get settled into school first and then I'm going to work my second semester. Totally fine. You can note that on your award letter when you accept it. But we encourage you to take those funds before you take loans. So then there will be federal loans typically that are offered to you if you're filling out the FOSFA. There's 2 different types of loans, subsidized and unsubsidized. Subsidized just means that the government is subsidizing the interest. It means they're going to pay the interest on your loan while you're going to school. And unsubsidized means that your interest starts the minute you take out those funds. So when you are offered those loans, you want to make sure you take subsidized first and then unsubsidized second. They're going to offer you loans for the full cost of attendance sometimes, and this can be more than you actually may need for school. This is where you can start thinking about how you can reduce some of those costs. So if you have a transportation budget, and you're not driving to school and you're not going to have a car when you go to school, you might be able to reduce that a little bit, especially if a bus pass is included in your cost of attendance. For books and supplies, you're always going to need books and supplies for school, but you can reduce the cost by renting your textbooks. You can get used textbooks instead of buying brand new ones. You can also contact your instructor to see if they'll let you use a previous edition, and those textbooks are typically a lot cheaper than a new textbook. If you're confused on your award letter, there's a lot of resources available at readysetgrad.org that can help you understand how to accept your awards, and at the same time calculate your total cost of attendance through award letter worksheets. And then the college knowledge books will walk you through scholarships, how to do financial aid, and how to understand your award letters as well. At the end, I will give you an email address as well as a phone number you can call. I'm happy to send any of these resources to you. Just identify which resources you need, and I'm happy to send them a physical copy in the mail to you, especially if you're listening to this on one of our flash drives that we provided. So what happens when you have questions about your financial aid award letter? You have to contact your financial aid office. So the school that provided you the letter is who you're going to contact. And this is most important if your financial circumstances have changed. Or I know for me, one quarter, I could not afford my whole award. I still had $500 left that I had to pay. I couldn't afford that $500 and I was thinking of dropping out. I ended up finding out about a payment plan, and I was definitely able to pay that $500 off in a bunch of payments. But I wasn't able to do it all at once. They were happy to walk me through a payment plan and get that set up. If I hadn't have asked somebody, I would have probably dropped out of school. Again, financial aid officers, they're not psychic, but they want you to go to school, so you have to reach out to them for them to know that they need help. And then let's talk about special circumstances. So COVID-19 has changed a lot of families' incomes. And when you start filling out an application for financial aid, it's going to ask for 2018 taxes. If there's been a change in income for you and your family, you want to make sure you connect with your financial aid office because they can do a financial aid appeal. And there's a tool we're going to walk through that will help you understand how to do appeals, and it provides you a template for writing a financial aid appeal letter. And this tool, it's called Swift Student. It does not share your data with third parties. They get some Google Analytics data through clicks, and that's about it. But this can really help you write a compelling letter for a financial aid appeal. So for a financial aid appeal, there's a multitude of reasons why you can ask for appeals. It's not all linked to COVID-19, but it can be for other things like I've had students that have had an emergency happen during the quarter. One girl, someone broke out her window and stole her backpack that had her textbooks in it. She was able to appeal to financial aid to get emergency funding to cover the cost not only of just the books, but they also helped her pay for a new window for that car. I've also had students who their financial situation has changed due to a layoff. So if your financial aid if there's a reduced income in your family from 2018 to now, you want to connect with your financial aid office. You may have received an award letter that is inaccurate based on your financial situation right now. So you want to make sure you have to reach out and follow the process to be considered. The other thing I've had students do is if you're a current college student, I had a student that reached out to me to do an appeal for trying to get more funds to pay for technology that they were accessing on campus, but due to COVID-19 and the closure of campus, they no longer had access to. So they needed a computer because they were using the computer lab. Another thing it'll help you with is extending your financial aid deadline. So if you've missed the deadline, how to appeal for an extension. This is a great resource because what it does is it's going to walk you through what kind of appeal you need. And once you select that, it's going to allow you to create a document. And all you have to do is it's going to ask you some questions, and then it's going to pre-populate your letter with that information. You don't even have to format the letter. It's going to do it all for you. It's going to ask you things like, what quarter are you applying for? What year are you applying for? What is the reason you're applying for an adjustment? What is not captured in your financial situation? So I know I talked more about COVID-19, but this also can be if you have a large medical bill or medical debt in your family and it's not reflected in the FAFSA or WAFSA, reaching out and talking to them about that because not everything is covered in there. Once you fill it out, It'll ask you the reasons why you would like an appeal, and then it enters it right into the application. One of the important things when you're doing an appeal is they're going to ask for what's called supporting documentation. This is just documents that are verifying the situation. And so it'll ask you which documents you're providing. Remember that when you provide these to a financial aid office, you are not going to receive these documents back. So don't send originals unless they've asked for originals and they're going to obtain a second copy of that original. Typically, you'll want to make sure you have copies of those documents that you sent them. And if you can, scan the whole packet to yourself so that you have a copy of what you provided to them. When you're done with your appeal letter through a Swift Student, what will end up happening is you can download it into a PDF or a Word document, and it's going to provide you with a template for follow-up with the financial aid office. It's just a template that says, I contacted the financial aid office, or I contacted this office on this day, and this is what we talked about, and this is who I talked to. It's very important that when you communicate with any of the offices at the college, that you kind of keep a log of who you talk to so that you know you're working with the same person. These documents, in the past, I've had to write financial aid appeals, and they've taken 20, 30 minutes for me to do a letter. This software here is very easy to use, and it takes about 5 minutes to fill out an appeal letter. So your next steps, if you have any changes, of course, reach out to your college. You can check with your college about the status of your application. I know that I've had some students who've said, I never received anything about verification, but I was selected for verification, and I found out because I called the financial aid office. So if you haven't received an award letter yet and you're concerned, you can always reach out and ask how long is it going to take before you should expect an award letter. I know that for that student, it was because there was a large problem with mail theft in their community. The other thing is that if you used your high school email address in this process, please remember that after you graduate, you will no longer typically have access to that email address. So you want to update all of the information you have to have an email address that you're going to be able to access. And always check your junk mail in this process too. If you are applying to other colleges, let's say your plan has changed and you no longer are going to attend any of the colleges that are on your financial aid application right now, and you're applying to a different college, make sure that you update your financial aid application. So it's really easy to apply for colleges right now and then forget to do the financial aid side. So you just log back in, you're going to do a financial aid update, and you're going to submit the information with those schools' names on it. You can list up to 10 schools on your application, so anywhere you think you might be going, you want to put on there. Don't forget to apply for scholarships. Like I said, they are a great opportunity. We have a website right in Washington called thewashboard.org where they have actually vetted the scholarships to make sure that they're legitimate. Here's the thing. I want to make sure you guys know that you should not be paying for applying for financial aid or applying for scholarships. These are free processes. If anyone's asking you to pay for a financial aid application, so a FOSFA or a WSAC, you are on the wrong web page. That's a company that's going to charge you to take your personal information and hopefully send it to the college that you have listed on there. If you are being charged for a financial aid application, the FOSFA or WSAC, please, 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 my email's at the end of this, email me. I am happy to follow up to make sure that you're on the right webpage. Same with scholarships. If you are paying money to apply for a scholarship, the most likely situation there is that it's a scam. Scholarships are to give you money, not to take money from you. You also want to check and make sure that your colleges, your colleges are offering scholarships. Almost all of them do, and a lot of them have extended those deadlines. So I would reach out and look for scholarships at your colleges. And then from the colleges, you're going to keep an eye out for those financial aid award letters and any requests that they have, and then fill out those documents as soon as possible if they've asked for additional documents. Make sure you respond by your school's deadline to accept aid, and some of those deadlines have been extended already to June 1st. Each school is going to be different. So if you're still trying to decide between multiple schools, you want to make sure that you follow the school's deadline, the school that you want to attend. So I'm going to go over some resources to help you as you plan your pathway. Again, that action plan page has been built for you, class of 2020. This is a great tool to help you no matter where you are in your pathway. It's not too late, and this will walk you through all of those opportunities. The next resource we're very excited about is Otter. So Otter is a texting service. It's texting AI that's programmed by humans. And so what it is you can text in hi to Otter, and this is for seniors right now. And you can text questions about financial aid 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you are able to stump the Otter, it'll get one of us and we'll be able to answer your questions for you. But it's really to help you navigate the financial aid processes at any hour of the day. Unfortunately, you know, we all have to sleep at some point in time, but it's nice if you're up late at night to be able to get those questions answered. And these are all free resources. The next resources are college knowledge books. These books walk you from freshman through senior year about all different information for financial aid admissions. These are a wonderful resource that we are happy to send out to you. We have physical copies in Spanish and English, but there are digital copies right online in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Somali, and Russian. Those are the top 5 spoken languages in our K-12 homes. And so the resources are provided, this resource is provided in those 5 languages. The next resource is our junior senior student workbook. This resource is a book to help you navigate your junior and senior year. So this is great. If you are a senior right now, we are happy to provide you with this. You can go online and get one, or we can send you one. And it has those worksheets in there for award letters so that you can kind of see what your total cost, your actual cost of going to college is going to be. It also helps you navigate college choice based on your own specifications, what you're interested in, the program you want to go towards. It's a great tool to help you navigate both the admissions and financial aid processes. And then if you're a youth in care or alumni of care, we have a resource for you to help walk you through all the different things that are available to you, including things like being auto-enrolled into College Bound. What resources can you apply for summer experiences? There's a great tool here, and we are happy to send it to any student who needs it. So even if you're not an alumni of care, but you have friends who are, we are happy to send these out to you. And then finally, this can be a real confusing process. And I know that because not only do I do this for a living, but I've had to do my own financial aid, and I am happy to help. If you need help with your financial aid application, if you have errors on your application and you are stuck, and if there's counselors who are listening to this, if you're working with your students and you've kind of hit that point where you don't know how to help them navigate past errors, please feel free to reach out to me. You can make appointments right online at our Calendly site. It's just Calendly/12th year. There are appointments available even this week. So if you're listening to this right now and you need help with your financial aid, don't wait to reach out. I'm happy to meet with you. It says on here that it's for Zoom appointments, but I know not everyone has access to internet capabilities that's going to allow you to do Zoom. So these can be phone appointments as well. If there's a way that I can help you get your next step in your pathway, please feel free to reach out. And then finally, if you want physical copies of any of the resources that we have listed here today, please feel free to email me. My name's Christina. You can get me at christinaw@wasac.wa.gov, or you can give me a phone call. We are currently out of the office and assisting people from home, but I'm happy to go on into the office and put together some resources for you and send you a little care package to help you navigate your next steps. So all you have to do is call, leave your name, your mailing address, and what you would like sent to you, and you can also email me the same information. And you can encourage your friends to do the same. I want to make sure that anyone who needs help with this process, that you have access to all the resources and tools. So now it's time for your questions. I will let you know that there's a little bit of a lag when it comes to the questions on here, so we'll make sure that we give plenty of time for people to type questions in. And my amazing coworker, Yokiko, is going to be helping with the questions today.
Okay, so hopefully you all can hear me. And I have our very first question, which I have here, which is, can I take a gap semester versus a gap year?
That is a great question. So I know students will hear the term gap year and think, I have to take the whole year off. That's not the case. You can take a gap semester or a gap quarter. The most important thing about taking time off is to make sure you have a plan for coming back. So I always say, a gap year can turn into a gap decade real quick. I know because I've seen it happen. I've worked in financial aid and admissions long enough to see actually have a student come back after a decade. And so we want to make sure that, especially if you're a college-bound student, if you're part of the college-bound scholarship program, that you have a plan to come back. So sometimes you can apply it for admissions at some schools. And then what you can do is ask for a deferment in enrollment. So, hey, I applied, I was admitted, can I wait a semester to start school? Or can I wait and push that till next year? Not every school will be able to do that, but it's important to check in with your school about deferments. The other thing is just making sure that your plan is fully laid out, because registration for classes happens really early. In fact, students have registered for some of their fall classes already. So we want to make sure that you're not just getting admitted and getting into the school, but getting the classes that you need for your graduation requirements and the classes at the times of day that you want.
Great, thank you. And the next question I have is, can I still participate in clubs and activities if I'm a commuter student?
Yeah, so that's a common question from students is like, if I'm not living on campus, can I still do all those things that I see people doing? And the answer is yes. You are paying student fees, and those student fees pay for all those awesome activities. And I know that students have concerns about, especially with COVID-19, like, will there be activities like that going to college right now? And they are doing a lot of really cool activities. I know Grays Harbor College does trivia nights where there's prizes and you just sign into your computer and do it. There's a lot of really cool things going on. But as a commuter student, you have every right as every other student on campus. I encourage you, when you get to your college, no matter where you're going, sign up for activities, sign up for different clubs. These are all things that enrich your activity, your opportunities at the college and your experience as a student.
Okay, and one last question. I'm struggling with applying for financial aid and I'm thinking about next year. Who can help me this summer?
That's a great question. So, if you are struggling with the financial aid process, you have a couple options. I know that there are summer programs that are helping, there's community groups who are helping, but you can also always make an appointment with me. I'll be running those appointments all summer and into the fall, and I'm happy to help you navigate this process, especially over the summer. So, even if you think it's too late and you're trying to navigate that process, please feel free, reach out to me. I am happy to help you navigate that process, and you can make an appointment right online, and I'm also happy to do phone calls. It's also a family decision for going to college, so if you want that appointment to be with your family members, I'm happy to do that with your permission as well.
All right, and that's all the questions we had.
Thank you guys so much. So I encourage you, it's not too late to apply. You just have to take the steps. So make your plan, take those steps, and reach out when you need help. Thank you so much for joining us for our town hall. We'll have another town hall next week for our juniors for the class of 2021. I'm so excited to work with you all. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. Thank you and have a wonderful day.